accelerator because you get the matching funds. I'm going to answer your question from an angel perspective. And that is, when I look at the business, if I think it's worth either, and I invest with sweat equity, and I also invest with, take an equity position, I've also taken a note, a secured note. And depending on which time it's been, in certain cases I've done all three of those in a cycle with a company, right? Depending on where they were they up, were they down? And that will also, you may have no luck with getting somebody to give you equity, but you may turn around and be able to do a secured note of some type and have them be willing to come up with some money for you. And so I think it's a little bit of a nuanced thing with the angels, and you might end up with even two different sets with different angels.
Maybe you can answer this question. So there's been some debate as to whether it's better to take a convertible note or equity from angels, and so you talk a little bit about why you choose
Sure.
one over the other.
Okay, so I will give you the reason that I will give you a very specific reason why sometimes equity is a dangerous thing. I'm involved with a company that I'm hopefully going to get an exit in 2 weeks. I came in originally with an equity investment with several other angels, and we funded it up pretty well. It was several $100,000, and they blew through it in 6 months. So what happens then, depending on the people you're involved with, it can become very dicey, and you come to a point where you've got to decide whether to shut a company down or try to keep going forward and funding it up perhaps at an equity level that's not accurate. But no matter what happens, if you've put money in at a certain value and then you've had a failure rate, some kind of failure going through, your equity that you put in is not going to be worth what you thought it was going to be. And that's, at the early stage, that can be a very dangerous thing because you really don't have any security. You walk away, you get nothing. And now, this is going to work out okay, but what you don't see is the year and a half I spent, 2 years plus, down there really working for nothing and getting the thing moving forward and everything else. So, at the wrong stage, your equity investment can increase your risk of total loss. Because, if you've got some kind of secured note, you can get something back out of the deal. Yeah. And you have more leverage with the people you're involved in. So you get around the issue of having to actually assign a value to something where it's unclear at that point what the value is. And I think there's a lot of ground between, secured note, equity investment, and you can there are pieces in the puzzle, but I will tell you that, there are reasons to do both, and you just kind of have to look at it and look at the other people who are investing with and try to make a decision how you're going to do it.
What do you say? Okay, since most of these companies have almost nothing in the way of hard capital assets,
yeah.
What are you securing it with?
Well, you're securing it with whatever they spend the money on, which in a lot of cases there is going to be capital equipment of some kind.
Okay,
and there will be intellectual property. And I've got a deal right now that basically it's the business was on the verge of closing for a lot of money, closing a round. It was a big round last year. It's more of what I would call a socially attractive business versus something that's really a dyed-in-wool moneymaker because it's educational games. Okay, well, economy got bad, deal didn't close. I'm in the last one in, but I've got a secured note. So if we ever decide to really shut it down, I'm in a very strong negotiating position. My original investment in that was basically sweat equity and a very small amount of capital, less than $20,000, and I actually even have a royalty off stuff. So, I'm positioned, nobody ever wants to see anything fail, but I'm positioned as well as I can be, that either we restart it and everything goes great, or if we really have come to an end, then we can try to put something back together and maybe get something.